Hi, today I thought I would give you an insight into my creative process. This is something that people have been asking for a while now, so I thought it was high time to get into it a bit. Zebra Girl, my comic, how I sat down to create it. Now, my method has varied over the years. It used to be that I would work on a page, roughly the size of an actual comic book. Not much bigger than that, certainly, on a sketchbook, and I would make the drawings really small and tiny and write everything out myself. Well, I've moved on a bit. Nowadays, I work on actual comic board size. This is a Blue Line Art Premier comic book art boards, Strathmore art paper. With this, I make larger pages, which then shrink down on the screen and reduce the appearance of errors and flaws and so forth. Not that I ever leave any, because I'm meticulous that way. But as I begin, a blank page looks more or less like this. It's pretty much what you'd expect. It's mostly white. Now, I've created a metric for measuring gutters and measurements based on this page. You can't quite tell. I really didn't think this blocking out of this video very well, but I've made measurements on this old piece of sketchbook paper for half page marks and third page marks and fifth page marks, both along and with lengthwise and how, and along with the spacing for the gutters, which is very important to keep consistent for me. But I've largely abandoned this more and more recently in favor of not dividing the page up into thirds or halves or precise measurements and just going arbitrarily. It's part of my move towards practicality, I guess you'd call it. These are my tools. I like to use gum erasers, which usually wind up looking like big gray boogers after a while. Sharpies for black spaces. Smaller Sharpies for edging and not so much black spaces. I usually use Staedtler Mars Lumograph 2B pencils to draw with. I used to use another kind, a green tortoiseshell design. It's out of service now. It's just a shame because these smudge more than they did. It's not always the way. You find a tool you like and it goes out of service. Well, never mind. Now, I also use Micron pens, and this is sort of where I excel. For the most part, I use microns with a width of 0.2. For borders, I use microns with the width of 0.5 for thicker lines. Now, in many cases, I'll use these for shading, for cross-hatching. I've become something of a master of cross-hatching, if I do mind so saying myself. That sentence didn't work out, I fumbled it. Never mind. The point is, I am excellent. If I don't mind my saying so, again, me saying so, I haven't eaten in a while. This is my first take. I'm going to try to do this all in one take, so if I screw up, I'm just going to try to play it off as comedy or something, just like real life. Anyway, this is my favorite tool by far, the inking. I can't quite describe my technique for cross-hatching, but if you've seen my work, then you know I have managed to create a whole spectrum of grays just by using this, by using a pen. And this was unheard of in college. I really wowed my professors, and that was before I got really good at it. So yes, I do like tooting my own horn when it comes to my Micron pens. I'm very good with Micron pens. In all modesty, it's not easy. It takes up a lot of time. Many of the comics take longer than they would have otherwise without it. Which is why I have resorted to using... Wait, didn't I bring... Damn it, I thought that I would have them all... Hold on. I can't believe it, I've got these things all over the place. Got these things all over the place, and as soon as I need one. Well, anyway, these are Prismacolor markers, which I use to create shades of gray nowadays. These, possibly my other favorite tool. I'm still learning the ropes with these, trying to master them. I use usually cool gray colors, 80% cool gray being the very darkest, to 10% cool gray being the very lightest, which I use to shade and create sort of a watercolor effect. It's kind of like a watercolor marker is what it is. But these have made things much simpler. This is my pencil sharpener. I thought he deserved to be mentioned. These are my only friends, you see. Here are the triangles, which I use to make straight edges. I'm so alone. This is actually all part of the process. See, I'm showing you how I make the comic. An important part of it is ennui. Before I finish every page, I experience deep depression, sort of loneliness, sort of walking through a dark valley. I don't know why that's part of the process. It just seems to be, you know. I'm sure many artists can attest that this is just how it goes. When you're making something, especially something on a deadline, you have to go through the dark stage, you know, where you sort of lose hope and, you know, lay in bed and just wonder how you're going to survive this. You know, you're going to screw up another deadline. Oh, it's really kind of pathetic, but that's the price of art. You sacrifice dignity, even if there's no one around to see you. You have to suffer for it, and it shows in the art. If you suffer, if you work for your art, it shows. Whatever you do, whatever you're doing, well, it used to be that way. Nowadays, you've got Photoshop to take care of a lot of the work for us, especially like word balloons. That has lightened the load tremendously. I used to hand draw all my word balloons. I used to do my best to make them seem like perfect circles. Then I actually got a compass and started making them perfect circles. Then I sort of said screw it, and I made my own font, and I make my own word balloons, and I put those on the page, which is something I'm still sort of getting used to, but I think it's coming along well. I'm thinking about revising the font. Do you like the font I use in Zebra Girl? Let me know if you do, because I'm thinking of making it look more naturalistic, more comic booky. Anyway, I start off with a blank page. I'd like to show you the pencils. I'm not at that stage right now with an upcoming page. Usually when I begin, I have to just keep going, but maybe I can sort of give you an idea. I'm just going to freehand it. Usually I use the triangles as a straight edge, and I measure using this guide I mentioned. You know, I scribble with the I scribble notes in the borders a lot of story notes. A lot of it comes to me as I'm drawing. This and there, and the Prismacolor markers I use usually come last in the process, though I try to do the black areas before then. Yeah. Okay. And voila, a finished page. It usually takes me longer than that, but I really pushed myself hard. You see what I did there? That was a magician's trick. See, I actually had the finished page right there. I didn't actually make it all up just then. I want to see if I could fool you for a second. And I'll bet there were one or two of you there who actually fell for it, but not really, because, you know,